Hello, I'm Lori Kearns, and this is News 6. Each town in northwest Ohio is unique. Old Fort has a very special past. Here's our Renee Wise with that report.
Old Fort is famous for being the site of Fort Seneca. The fort was built in 1813 in the form of a square and was about the size of a city block. It was surrounded by pickets of oak timber, 1 foot in thickness and 12 feet high. Fort Seneca had 1 cannon and, strangely enough, never went through a battle. A huge rock marks one of the corners of where Old Fort once stood. The inscription plaque tells a brief story of the history of the area. Beside the rock, buried in the ground, is another historical marker. It is a time capsule that was sunk in there as a bicentennial project in 1976. The capsule contains pictures, newspaper clippings, poems, and other items that will be of interest in the year 2001 when the time comes to dig them up. Although Fort Seneca is no longer standing, there is a bridge left near our town that will not let you pass without stopping to admire its rustic beauty. The bridge is an old, wooden, covered one, the kind you don't see anymore. It's called the Mole Bridge after a family that lived nearby. It is over 100 years old. You can still see carvings of names and dates from the 1800s. The bridge walls are old planks fastened to braces with wooden pegs rather than nails. The rafters are huge wooden beams that have been used for climbing on occasion, according to a few of our classmates. The structure was declared unsafe for automobile traffic, but can still be crossed on foot. It is being preserved and maintained by the Sandusky County Historical Society. One resident of our community tells of using the bridge as a boy. In those days, people traveled by horse or wagon or bobsled in winter. They had to haul snow onto the bridge in order to allow the bobsleds to cross. Although a new bridge is just a short distance down the creek, it's made of cement and steel and is much safer. There's probably more than a few of us who wish that all new bridges could have the charm of the old mole-covered bridge.
The 6th graders of Old Fort really appreciate art. Our News 6 reporter Matt Heaston has that story.
It's rather standard for an art class to paint pictures. However, the art department in our school has given it a new twist. We paint in dots using a cotton tip stick, the kind you would use to clean your ears. This kind of art is called pointillism and makes some very unusual effects. If you want to try it, just use regular paint, your cotton tip stick, and dab the paint on the paper instead of brushing it. We sent some of our pointillism paintings to the Q-Tip Company in Blair, Nebraska as entries in an art contest. Grand prize is $8,000 and a 1-week vacation in New York City. We are eagerly awaiting the results.
Columbia Gas is a very important part of our community. Our Brett Trimbath interviewed Personnel Manager Mr. L. David Shire.
Mr. Shire, how much did it cost to build this plant?
Brad, it cost $50 million to build our facility here. It took a little over 2 years, and as of this April, we will be in operation for a total of 6 years.
What do you produce here?
We produce natural gas here, Brett, from light petroleum products such as ethane and methane, which goes into a pipeline and is sent around the area for industrial and commercial use.
Okay, next question.
How much gas do you produce?
250 million cubic feet is what is produced per day. It is a continuous operation running 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And that total amount of gas, Brett, is enough to service the residential needs of approximately 500,000 people, basically the size of Toledo during a normal weather period.
And where does this gas go?
This gas is shipped primarily through pipeline to industrial and commercial accounts. The residential gas we wholesale and retail through Columbia Gas of Ohio. So the majority of our gas produced here goes into the industrial and commercial areas, and 10% of the total gas consumed and produced in the United States is the responsibility of Columbia Gas.
We noticed there are lights all over the building. Why are they burning?
These lights are used naturally during the darker hours and evening hours at night, Brett, for we do run 24 hours a day. And being a completely outside operation, very similar to a petroleum refinery or chemical plant, you'll see this type of lighting at these facilities.
Thank you. This has been Brett Trimbath from the Green Springs Synthetic Gas Plant for News 6.
Fridays are a great day for us. Here's Steve Majors to tell you why.
Every Friday afternoon from 2:15 until 3 o'clock, Old Fort Elementary turns into a beehive of activity as the students participate in a project known as Crafty Friday. The program got its start in the fall of 1978 with funds from a federal grant. It was begun in an effort to teach children what to do with their leisure time. Students can pick from over 25 crafts and activities that are conducted by teachers, cooks, janitors, and community volunteers. There are anywhere from 5 to 12 children in a craft session. The craft offerings include cooking, cake decorating, wood burning, disco dancing, copper enameling, pottery making, first aid, personal grooming, or candle making. If those don't appeal to you, you could try latch hook or punch hook rug making, golf, tennis, peer tutoring, pleasure reading, creative writing, drawing, ceramics, t-shirt designing, rock jewelry making, model making, or leather crafts. Students are assigned to 3 different craft sessions throughout the year. Each session lasts for 6 weeks. If a student does not care to participate in a craft or wants to take a break for one session, he or she can go to the gym for movies. We are thrilled with our Crafty Friday opportunity and look forward to Friday afternoon.
Doctors contribute a great deal to their community. Tim Polyak interviewed Old Fort physician Dr. E.C. Heaston. Here's that report.
Dr. Heaston, how long did it take for you to become a doctor?
Well, after I graduated from high school, I had to go to college. I went to the College of Worcester for 4 years and graduated there. Then I went to Ohio State University to medical school for 4 years. And after that, I trained in Pittsburgh for 15 months in an internship before I started my practice here in Old Fort.
How many patients do you see in an average day?
We usually see about 35 patients on an average in an afternoon in the office. Then I usually see 6 to 10 patients in the hospital in the morning, and usually several patients either after hours or at odd times during the day.
How many people do you have working on your staff?
I have 2 girls who are receptionists. I have 3 nurses working for me, 2 who work part-time, so I really have 4 people working full-time.
What is the most common disease you treat?
I suppose that depends on the time of the year, mostly, since we treat all, this is a general practice or a family practice. I see this time of year it's been mostly flu and respiratory infections lately, mostly the school children.
What do you do when you examine a person?
Well, it depends somewhat on what the problem the patient has, or what's the matter. We usually, when people come in for examination, we may weigh them, check their blood pressure. If they come in like many of them now with like the flu and respiratory infections, we'll look at their throat and their ears and so forth.
This has been Tim Polyak with Dr. Heaston for News 6.
Thanks for watching News 6. This has been Lori Kearns for Old Fort School. Next week's show will feature Sacred Heart Fremont.